I think one of the greatest gifts the Seven Habits has given our school, has given our teachers, is permission to care deeply about students again. We learned in our work with the Seven Habits the power of relationships, and I will continue to say until the last breath in my body that there's nothing more important than that child connecting with the teacher. Every single child is important. Every single child has worth, and every single child has the capability of making a difference.
As far as the teachers finding the greatness in each student here at Combs, maybe one child's great, the only thing great about them today is that they got up and they made it to school on time. But you know what? The teacher will pull that student aside and will give them a hug and say, I'm so happy that you did not get a tardy slip today, and I can tell you really worked hard.
They'll call you and your heart races because you see the school name come up on caller ID, but they would tell us something as simple as how great my daughters did today. Like, oh, you should have been here. Simone read this, or Tiffany actually accomplished this feat. So that's good things, because sometimes when you get a call, you don't want it to always be bad. You want to hear the great accomplishments.
I had a boy in my first year teaching who had every challenge that any student could face. He had poverty, he had problem people around him, and all issues in the world, and he was in had gangs people around him, and the influences were things I was not familiar with. And one day I just didn't know what to do, so I sent him down to Miss Summers.
He possessed unbelievable talent, and we could see that talent within him. But we also knew that he was very torn. He was torn to do what the members in his community thought that he should do. And he struggled with that. He struggled between knowing the difference between right and wrong.
Miss Summers looked at it as a situation for him to step up and take some responsibility in the school, and offered him a role in leadership days. And I thought at first, how could that work? And when he came back to my room glowing, and I just didn't understand it at first. And I was like, so what happened through your conversation with Miss Summers? And he told me about how the responsibility piece was set back on him, and he was given a role to step up and show his skills that he was never given before. And from that day on, he was only improving in my classroom in all elements. He was starting to hang out with better people, making better choices, and it was the first time I seen how personal responsibility could really shift an individual in the right direction, rather than looking at the negative aspect of how to lead somebody.
I'm very afraid that if all we focus on in school is that almighty test score, that we're going to create a generation of children who know how to do nothing but take a test well. A child's worth should never be defined by a score on a piece of paper. There's so much more to a child than just that score.
Of course, education and end of grade tests are very important, but the other thing that's important at this school is each child. How, are their needs being met, and to really just make them feel special.
To me, it's about what's inside their heart. It's about those diplomas of the heart, diplomas of compassion, integrity, leadership, caring for others. To me, that is what the true worth of any individual is all about.
Mimi felt special last week. She had to get a spatial put in for one of her teeth, and the teacher let her bring in her mold, and they let her give this whole dental explanation with class. There wasn't time in the lesson plan for dental hygiene. That was 2 months ago during dental hygiene month. But Miss Joyner sat back and she let Mimi explain and go around and show everyone her new appliance that she had in her mouth. And one thing I think that the Covey Habits tells the teacher is that, yes, of course we need a schedule and we need to be disciplined, but there's also time to sit back, to sharpen the saw, use the teachable moments, and let the kids lead the way.
We've got to do more. The goals of the 21st century learner are demanding that we look at children through a different lens, that we shift our paradigms, and that we start to teach in the world in which they now live, not in the world in which we lived in, but the world in which our children live in. Teaching them responsibility, teaching them ethics, helping them understand what a moral compass is all about, is truly the gifts we need to give children. We're not going to find that in a workbook. We're not going to find that in a textbook. We're going to find that in the day-to-day interactions that we have with children. We only get one chance to prepare children for a world that none of us can possibly predict. What are we going to do with that one chance?